Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So in today's video, Chris wouldn't be joining us as he's busy with some work for the post-race podcast. But there's not much to discuss in this race today apart from the fact that Mercedes, oh my god, are 7 times constructors world champions, 7 times in a row, 7 times straight. But let's start with the Mercedes. So that's Bottas and Hamilton. Now, poor Bottas, I'm just going because what is this? Like Bottas, like why is the poor guy always under some bad luck? Always happens to him. Like this time round, he was first. He started off the race quite well, but nope, he hit some debris which apparently was from a Ferrari. Hmm. And that pretty much destroyed his race later on because he was pretty slow, and then he pitted first, and then Hamilton continued for a long stint apparently. And how great is Hamilton's luck? Because Hamilton pitted like 8 or 9 laps later, but what favored him was a virtual safety car. So Ocon had retired from the race, and then which meant there was a virtual safety car, and then he had a literally a free pit stop, and that made sure he was 10 seconds ahead even after coming out, because in the virtual safety car period you are just going very slow. So I don't know. Yeah, another driver who's out of luck is, as usual, Vettel, and he was doing so well, and then nope, Ferrari just screwed up his strategy again. Classic. It's, I mean, not the strategy itself, but the tires. Yeah, the pit stop was a disaster. So he took like 13 seconds, and by then it was all over. So I think Vettel's luck, Bottas' luck, everyone's luck is in Hamilton's favor. So he's pretty much using everyone's luck right now. Yeah, but take it or not. But and then there was Leclerc. Leclerc finished fourth, and that is again an absolutely brilliant performance. I mean, how does he manage to every single race just swoop in into the top five and just manage to cruise along? Even after the safety car restart, he managed his pace quite well. And then the next team is Red Bull. Now, there's a lot to discuss at Red Bull. First, Max had a flying start, from the word go. So he went up to P2, and Hamilton was P3rd. Max managed to get close up to P2. He was challenging for P1. He pit stops, changes, but then poor luck again for him, and he had a crash. He picked up debris from some place again. That is speculated to be again from a Ferrari, which is from Vettel's car. I don't know what is going on. Why isn't the Ferrari just leaving the car is literally falling apart on the track. After the race restart happened, coming to Alex Albon, I think Albon is pretty much going to lose this place if he continues to perform like this, because the moment so the race was pretty much a dull race for him, where he was just maintaining the 7th or the 8th position, but then came the safety car period where he was due to restart, and then once Perez who was in 7th, and he was challenging him for the 6th, and he overtook him, he just lost the control by just overpowering his car. At that point he just spun around, and then that was pretty much the end of his race, and he was dead 15th after that. Chances are looking very slim for him to maintain his seat next year. So let's see. Now moving to the next team, which is an interesting team I want to discuss first, is Alfa Romeo. Now Raikkonen was having a fabulous race. God knows how. He was at one point P4, and then he finished P9th, and then Giovinazzi finished P10th, and both the drivers actually performed quite well to my surprise. And in fact, Raikkonen was the driver of the day, and Hamilton had the fastest lap. And again, pit stop department was handled by Red Bulls as usual. Now coming to the next team, which is Renault. Again, fantastic performance. Ocon had sadly had a clutch issue, so he had to retire from the race. But Ricciardo benefited from that safety car period, and Renault decided to keep him out and not pit him, and that meant he was in P3rd, and we got to see the shoey. And yeah, a bit of a I don't know, because even Hamilton joined him, but he used Ricciardo's shoe for the shoey. Um, I don't know how safe is that, especially in this COVID times. I don't know. So yeah, so that was a podium ceremony which was quite unique this year for sure. That's the second podium finish for Ricciardo this season, and he is surprisingly doing so well in that Renault. I mean, he has to be the best driver currently on the grid who is pushing that car to its limits. And pushing to the limits, let's talk about McLaren now. McLaren sort of had a very average race as usual. I think this track wasn't favoring their cars because they did not have the downforce that was necessary for their cars, or their tires were just not warming up. And so Sainz finished 8th, I think, and Lando finished. So Sainz finished 7th, and Lando finished 8th. So let's move to the racing point again. Stroll. So there's a brake pedal that you have to use in the pit box. You use that because he hit the guy who basically races, jacks the car up when the car enters into the pit box. He hit him so hard, he just went flying out. So good thing is the mechanic is in good shape and there was no damage to him. But eventually Stroll, yes, had a very average race again. But Perez, oh my god, how is this guy leaving Racing Point or doesn't have a seat yet? Because he finished P6th, but again, when the safety car came out in lap 40, I think it was lap 52, when the safety car came out, it was just bad luck, or call it a wrong strategy from Racing Point, that they pitted him and he came out and he was P6 after that, P7th after that, and then he tried really hard to gain positions, but then he couldn't. The next team is Haas. Again with Haas, Grosjean, quite a normal performance of, I think he finished dead last, P15th, and Magnussen, who retired bizarrely with a headache due to the upshifts. So that was his race, which ended, I think, somewhere between lap 45th or something. So that was the end of his race after that. And then next we come to the AlphaTauri. Again, Gasly had a problem before the race start, so there was some power unit issue because of which they weren't sure if he would be able to start, but he did start. He was doing fabulous in P4th, but then yeah, bad luck again for him, and he had to retire on lap 28th, and that was pretty much it for him. But the guy who gained the most out of the safety car period was Kvyat. Kvyat made the best out of the safety car, and he came P4, and he was almost inching closer to Ricciardo. I think if he had a good 3-4 laps, he could have gained ground on him also, and he would have ended up on the podium. That would have been something. The torpedo worked nicely for the first time instead of crashing into someone. The last team is Williams. Now I don't know what happened to Russell, because in the safety car period he was about to finally get a point in P10th. He was in the 10th position, but I don't know what really happened. He just spun out of nowhere. He just overpowered his car, and then he just spun and crashed into the barriers. So yeah, that was the end for him, and it was actually a pretty sad sight seeing him sit on the other side of the track, and then showing his frustration, his anger, that was something. But then that was a really a pretty bizarre mistake to make, especially from a driver and behind a safety car. But then Latifi finished P11th. I mean, how from nowhere no one really realized that Latifi finished P11th, and not just that, he was just zero point 0.8 seconds from Giovinazzi, and he was about, I think, a lap or two he would have ended up in a point scoring position. All this while we were rooting for Russell, but then Latifi, who knows, Latifi would have finished. And ironically, Latifi finished ahead of Grosjean, ahead of Stroll, ahead of Vettel, all these cars. So yeah, I think that was the race was actually a pretty kind of meh, where there was not much of an action going on except for the virtual safety. Actually, the virtual safety car just killed the whole excitement, because after that Vettel was first, and then the race was just pretty much plain cruising along, unless there was more incidents in the end where Max crashed out. There was Ocon and all the safety car period that was going on, and that just made it's just a shame we didn't have a fair few laps remaining later on, like another 5 laps, and we could have had some amount of action that could have happened on track. But I don't know, let me know in the comment section below if the Imola track was like, what the excitement or what the hype, because the track is actually pretty narrow, and the modern day Formula 1 cars are actually pretty big in every way, because they are quite broad, they are quite long, so overtaking other cars becomes just very difficult. In fact, they're just so technical, like pretty much all drivers were complaining about not being able to follow each other. Let me know in the comment section if they should include the Imola GP again, but otherwise, yeah, I think, yeah, it's better to skip this one. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye and take care.